My name is Jake Michael Singer. I'm a transdisciplinary artist based in Johannesburg and Istanbul. A lot of my practice is engaged with materials research, so I experiment with the wide variety of media, and I try to infuse that media with a sense of poetry. So whether it's concrete or oil paint or steel, which is what I'm best known for, I try to infuse the material with poetry. So my relationship with materials, I've always just appreciated how materials come together in the world. And I think there's little secrets about how the world is if you look close enough at materials. In a similar way, we always look to the stars for answers, or we look to science and biology and a lot of the smaller things. So there's the macrocosm and the microcosm. And I'm really just interested in how these things come together in a sort of poetic way. I think objects, materials, they're always in dialogue with the world. So if you think about like the way that waves mold rock, the rock and the waves, the rock and the water are in a dialogue. I think it's interesting to think about how the rock is kind of like an aggregate, or it's a median or an average of how the water has been. The water is reflecting itself in the rock, in the same way that the world, when we look at it, reflects itself in us, its own beauty, and we reflect our own beauty into the world. And I think this is one of the most important things that we can do as human beings, is to look for a sense of ourselves, a sense of our beauty, a sense of our shared divinity and joy in the world. The reason why a lot of my work is in steel is, firstly, it just came naturally to me to work with steel. I found it quite easy, quite intuitive. It is a very tough and strong material. Steel holds some monumentality to it. It holds resilience. It holds, I guess, a lot of like technology in it. There's sort of a dialectic between the permanence of steel, or the seeming impermanence of imbuing it with gesture or a passing thought or a sort of sentiment. And I think this dialogue between sentiment and monumentality is a strange one, because sentiments are so fleeting, yet steel, monumentality, sculpture, especially when it's well made, well crafted, it's going to last forever. So it's quite often nice to put an absurdity or a poetry or a strange sentiment into this monumental material. And what's brilliant about it is that it lasts forever, but if you get it wrong, then you know, your kind of foolishness or stupidity also lasts forever. But at the same time, if you do it right, I think then it's maybe a sentiment that's made today that other generations will see. It's also nice to hold various kind of practices, because in sculpture it's very difficult to make things, it's very challenging, whereas painting and drawing is almost immediate. So if I have an idea and I have a thought, I can enact that thought immediately. And the more fluent I am in something like painting or drawing, the more fluently I can enact that and then translate that to a sculpture. When I think about myself as an author, yes, there are thoughts coming from me, and then those thoughts are also thoughts that have been distilled from things that I read, things that I see, experiences, friends. And then even if I just think about the material, so the material is steel, those are made in steel mills. The material which comes to the steel mill comes from the earth, gets mined. Then the material comes to a supplier, the supplier shapes the material, I get the material, I shape it even more. And I shape that in my studio with 10 assistants. So currently in Johannesburg we've got about 10 assistants, and in Istanbul there's 5. And in order for especially the sculptures to come together, it requires collaboration because of the difficulty of the material, the weight of the material. And I think this is the essence of what it means to be a human being, is to collaborate with people. All we have is our sort of social groups that are able to come together and build something greater than all of us in a sort of collaboration. So I always question the legitimacy of this lone genius artist. Sort of see my practice as continuing in the same lineage as an alchemist. So I'm taking materials like a cook and I'm putting it together, and out comes a aesthetic or an experimental phenomena for then somebody else to see and frame within their own lives. So this body of work that I will show with THK Gallery, I will show under the title of We Will Meet Again in the Field. The title comes from when my father passed away. One of my uncles said, "Ons sal weer in die veld ontmoet." We will meet again in the field. And I kind of like this, well, in the veld, but in South Africa, the veld has a specific meaning. And I like this idea of the field as being cosmic space, the field as a cosmic space, the field as a non-space, the field as an ethereal space, the field as even an abstract space. Even you can talk about an electromagnetic field, so just as space, and our bodies in connection to that. A lot of the works I'm making for the show are just arising out of my daily practice. A lot of the works will be recognizable to many people seeing it, and some of the other works will be completely new for other people, although it's been a very important part of my practice for many, many, many years. Making is the most powerful when it's done in collaboration with people. Making is the most powerful when it's cognizant of the context out of which it arises. When that making process incorporates the best intentions of society, then I think we stand a chance to make something for society that's miraculous. I'm as focused on the people of today as the people of tomorrow. So in many ways I'm wondering, what will the people of tomorrow think about my work? In the permanence of the material is the potential for many other generations to come look at the sculpture and then to reflect themselves. And I wonder, will they see beauty in it? What will they see in it? What will they think about it? Will they maybe wonder in 1,000 years, what were these people doing and why were they making these sculptures? That can be very interesting. So in many ways, my audience is infinity. My audience is the people of tomorrow. It's nature, it's the moon. My mandate for myself as a sculptor is to put something into the world that when somebody looks at it, it's almost like a glitch in the world. It shouldn't exist, and there's no explanation for how it exists. And to really bring magic into the world, for other people to witness.